For more than 100 years, the world's most famous mapmakers all agreed on something. Right here, in the middle of the North Atlantic, was a massive island called Frisland. Not to be confused with the Dutch province of Friesland, it was bigger than Ireland, and maps showed it with towns, mountains, and its own coastline. There was just one tiny problem. It was never real. This is the wild story of how one man's attempt to make his family look good created a geographical catfish that fooled explorers, kings, and the greatest minds of the Renaissance for over a century. If you had picked up an atlas in the 1580s, you would have seen Frisland floating confidently just south of Iceland. And this wasn't some vague smudge on the page. Maps gave it a clearly defined coastline, a smattering of smaller islands, and even named cities. To anyone looking at these maps, from a casual observer to a seasoned expert, Frisland was a fact. It appeared on map after map, created by the rock stars of 16th century cartography. This island wasn't a typical mistake. Like a miscalculation of longitude, it was a complete fabrication, born from a single ambitious lie. So how did this lie become the truth for so long? For that, we need to go to Venice in the year 1558. Our story starts with a Venetian nobleman, Niccolo Zeno the Younger. In 1558, he published a book claiming he had found old family letters and a map in a storeroom. These documents, he said, were written by his ancestors, the brothers Niccolo and Antonio Zeno, nearly 200 years earlier. According to the tale, his ancestor Niccolo the Elder was shipwrecked on the island of Frisland in 1380 and rescued by a powerful prince. The Zeno brothers then supposedly went on epic voyages across the North Atlantic, exploring Greenland and a land to the west called Estateland, which the map implied was North America. The motive? Family and national prestige. The 16th century was the height of the Age of Discovery. Spain had Columbus, Florence had Vespucci. Zeno's story was a power play to prove that Venice, and more specifically the Zeno family, had beaten everyone to the New World by a century. The whole thing was a hoax. Historians now know the map was drawn in a 16th century style, and that Niccolo Zeno the Elder was actually in Venice at the time, not sailing the high seas. But back then, the story was a bestseller. The map looked legit, and the world was about to fall for it completely. In the 16th century, there was no way to fact-check a claim about a faraway island. Mapmakers had to rely on sailors' reports, ancient texts, and the work of other respected cartographers. Zeno's book was seen as a brand new, credible source. The real tipping point came in 1569. That year, the undisputed master of cartography, Gerardus Mercator, published his groundbreaking world map. And there it was, sitting south of Iceland, Frisland. Mercator was a brilliant and meticulous scholar. His endorsement gave Frisland an unbreakable stamp of authenticity. Once Mercator drew Frisland, it stopped being a theory. It became reality. A few years later, his rival, Abraham Ortelius, included Frisland in his Theatrum Orbis Terrarum, considered the world's first modern atlas. From that point on, it was a cartographical chain reaction. For the next 100 years, almost every major mapmaker simply copied the island from the masters who came before them. The consequences weren't just on paper. Real explorers went looking for it, most famously the English navigator Martin Frobisher. Between 1576 and 1578, Frobisher made 3 voyages to find the Northwest Passage, armed with the best maps of his day, maps that all showed Frisland. On his first voyage, he sighted the coast of Greenland. The land he was looking at was right where Frisland was supposed to be. So, with total confidence, he concluded it was Frisland and claimed it for England. His entire understanding of the world was being warped by a fake island, and he was celebrated as a hero for walking on a place that didn't exist. So, if everyone believed in Frisland, what made it disappear? The answer is simple: better data. As the 17th and 18th centuries rolled on, navigation technology improved, and sailors' charts grew more accurate. More and more ships sailed right through the coordinates where Frisland was supposed to be, only to find nothing but open ocean. The doubts started creeping in. By 1693, the cartographer Vincenzo Coronelli still included Frisland on his map, but added a crucial note: believed to be a fable or submerged in the sea. This was the beginning of the end. The idea that it might have sunk was a handy excuse that avoided admitting generations of geographers had been completely wrong. Throughout the early 1700s, English and French explorers charted the North Atlantic with increasing precision, and they just couldn't find it. Faced with overwhelming evidence from the sea, cartographers had no choice but to accept the truth. Quietly and without much fanfare, Frisland began to vanish from new maps. The story of Frisland is more than just a weird historical footnote. It's a wild lesson in how misinformation can spread. In an age of fierce national pride, Niccolo Zeno's story was just too good not to be true. Once it was rubber-stamped by trusted names like Mercator and Ortelius, it became fact. Frisland is a powerful reminder that maps don't just show us the world, they shape our idea of it. It shows that even the most trusted sources can be wrong, and that truth is often a messy process of discovery, correction, and, very slowly, erasing the ghost of the past. If you enjoyed this, check out my video called The Mysterious Island Google Maps Had to Delete. And if you like dives into cartographic catastrophes, hit like and subscribe for more weird geography. Thanks for watching.